Okay, so I have another thing I've been working on. You probably can't see in detail very clearly what's on the computer screen here, but this is another transparency film. It doesn't have any scanimation in it. Instead, it has the brand newly discovered aperiodic monotile shape, this guy. So there was a different one in March, but then in June they found a different one. And so I've been just dying to get a look at this thing in bulk. So I finally bit the bullet and went to Staples and got me some professionally printed huge sections of this stuff. So just where the tiling is super small. And if you've seen my other video post about the Penrose tiling, that's essentially the same idea, but that takes two shapes. This is an aperiodic tiling that only requires one shape. So hopefully you can still see all that in detail. It's kind of really crazy to look at, but what I think is super cool is what happens when you have two of these things. So if you have two screens, then you get something called a Moire pattern. And so this is like if I line these two screens up, you can see that they're identical copies of the same thing, but if I sort of start shifting it around, you can start seeing some weird moire patterns, and if I rotate it, then you get this lovely sort of star pattern. I haven't counted yet, or actually I think we can see that this is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 around a seventh point, so this has six-fold symmetry, which makes sense because the tile is based off of a 12-pointed star. But the cool thing is if I rotate to other angles, then it will sort of recreate that same star pattern, and we can zoom into a different shape. If I have my finger there and I rotate, then the coolest thing ever happens because it overlaps perfectly. Well, not exactly perfectly. It will completely overlap in lots of locations, except for these weird tendrily areas where it doesn't seem to overlap perfectly. See how those wiggly lines form? We can do that at different spots too. So I'll just zoom over to a different spot and I can use that as the center of rotation, and that'll allow me to figure out where this stuff overlaps. And you can see that there's locations where it overlaps, but now there are far more tendrils, so it makes it a lot harder to see. But you can see the moire pattern is beautiful. It sort of zooms out, rotates back, and then becomes that 6-point star thing again. And you can see I can just pan across this like field of stars. And I can zoom in, and you can see we get another sort of orientation where they almost perfectly overlap. Oh, I lost it. I can go over here and get it back. So I think that's just the coolest stuff in the world.